Hi, we're the Mangoes, and today we're going to be doing our nonfiction book recs.
So my nonfiction book rec is In a Thin Air by John Krakauer. It's about John and another group of climbers' expedition to the top of Mount Everest, as well as their descent. And it happened to fall during a time where the weather was extremely unlucky for this type of a climb. And he just describes the really terrifying events that happened during his expedition. It's really crazy to think about how mountain climbing is even more of an intense sport as you might imagine it to be. There's a lot of thought that goes into it. And without the right resources, every single breath is extremely taxing and life threatening. So, very gripping tale, kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat. And at the same time, in describing this climb and the way that different climbers approached it, it kind of sheds light on different types of human nature, such as hubris, overconfidence, and what else would you say?
I mean, I don't know, like a lot of these climbers, they're not experts. So I would say like arrogance, and it's also like commoditized. I never would have thought that
Oh,
climbing would be
yeah.
commoditized. Like he explains how climbing Everest, even though it's the tallest mountain, is not exactly what experts do. It's kind of turned into this thing where if you pay a bunch of money, you can be herded up Mount Everest without ever having any kind of experience. So he kind of goes into a lot of the criticism about how um, poorly the expeditions up Everest are like planned,
Mm-hmm.
and how they should really regulate who gets to climb Everest, because it's amazing how regular rich people are allowed to climb Everest because they pay a bunch of money, but in other mountains they don't because it's apparently too dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what's your nonfiction book rec?
My nonfiction book rec is Emperor of All Maladies by uh, Siddhartha Mukherjee. And Siddhartha Mukherjee is like a doctor at heart. He's a MD, or a medical doctor oncologist at Harvard. And he decided that he wanted to do a biography on cancer. And it's a very riveting biography because he has gone through so much research to find like the earliest traces of cancer in ancient Egypt, all the way towards like how to treat it, how it's affected people, and the statistics on how we're improving, all the way up to the mid 2000s. And interspersed within the biography is his own experience treating people with cancer. And it was just a very touching book on how cancer affects all, and how every human from every part of history has experienced cancer, or like has met someone with cancer, or has been affected with by cancer in some way. So it was a very interesting book to read. And I mean, he's just a really great writer. Yeah. Also, we wanted to do this special part of this video dedicated to Squid Game. Both of us are really big fans of Squid Game, and if you don't
Well,
know,
you're not a big fan of it.
I mean, I thought it was entertaining. Like it was a good flick. Um, it's a Korean drama on that was produced by Netflix, and basically it's about a group of poor people that are coerced into playing these life and death children's games in this like deserted island, and they're kind of guarded by these pink people, and then this front man that kind of looks like Darth Vader. And as the drama goes on, like you already learn about some of these characters, and they're like killed off in like these games, and then eventually like one character wins, and then like basically the ending is kind of mysterious, isn't it?
Yeah, we didn't like the ending though.
Yeah, we didn't like the ending at all.
Yeah. But we thought it'd be fun to share our Squid Game theories when it comes to the pink guards and the front man.
Yeah.
So I guess we can start with the pink guards.
Yeah, so what did you think the pink guards were?
So we have multiple theories. One theory I saw a lot online already, people talking about how when the guy approaches people in debt in the subway and plays Dakchi, I think is what it's called,
Okay.
with them. And all the players chose the pink envelope, right? Was it pink?
I think no, the players choose the blue one.
Oh, okay, and then there's a red envelope?
And there's a red envelope,
Okay.
yeah.
So there's a common theory online that the pink guards chose the red envelope in that game. So we were thinking maybe that's kind of the first game of Squid Game, and the pink guards won that game of luck in selecting the red envelope, and they are like the players desperately in debt, but they kind of win in that in being a pink guard. They are provided housing, food, maybe like a salary. So our thought was maybe this is their job, but as far as how they got there, like their journey isn't that different from the players.
Yeah. I was trying to make a case that the pink guards are actually prisoners, and there are many reasons why I think that. The first reason is in the drama they kind of act like prisoners and treated like prisoners because their rooms are like prison cells. Um, every morning and every night there's like a count. There's a count of the guards, kind of like how they do counts at jail, and then they're supposed to do certain tasks and like cooking, like giving them other people meals and stuff like that. And they also seem to be trapped in the island as well because whenever they do something wrong, like they're punished. And another reason why I think they're prisoners is because they don't seem to mind killing the participants of the game. And I feel like maybe like the reason why is because they're already criminals and maybe they've already committed crimes like that. So like just so they're in jail and to prevent punishment, they're like, okay, you know, I'll just do my job and I just have to do what I have to do. And then like lastly, I mean, Squid Game, one of its theories is that one of its themes is that like social inequality, how rich people can take advantage of the poor, isn't it? Yeah. So I think it's very like realistic that these really rich people, VIPs that started the game, they have control of the government and they can kind of coerce the government into sending their prisoners into this deserted island where they're forced to do certain things for their tasks. And like, yeah, that's the reason why I think they're prisoners.
That's a good theory. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And our final theory is that maybe the pink guards started off in even more dire situations than the players. So maybe it's not only that they're in debt, but that they're completely homeless. And they were also approached by the makers of the game. And they were basically given this opportunity to, again, be provided housing and food. But they're just so desperate that they're actually willing to, in exchange, kill off the players.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good theory too. And one other thing that we had a really big conversation about was the why the front man, who it was revealed is actually the brother of the cop that was investigating games. We found out that he actually won the games like 5 years earlier, but then he came back and now he's leading the game. So why do you think, like, what do you think happened there?
So one theory we had is we know that the policeman was given a kidney by the older brother who's now the front man. So we're thinking maybe the front man first joined the game in order to make money to pay off the price of the surgery to have a organ donation happen. And then that's why he first joined the game. And then when he left the game, I'm sure the policeman younger brother showed him a lot of admiration and just gratitude. And kind of like Ki-hoon, I'm sure the front man maybe first had some survivor's guilt and he didn't want to live in the real world. So he just maybe re-entered the game with positive intentions like Ki-hoon did in the last episode, where he wants to actually have the game stop, but having re-entered the world, maybe he realizes that this is actually the only environment in which he can just act like he has a happy life. And then what else do we say about the front man again?
Oh, I mean, I kind of compared him to a character in Heart of Darkness, which is Kurtz. He goes into Africa and he completely like succumbs to like the darkness within his heart. And we think that's what happened to we think that's probably what happened to the front man as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're thinking for season 2, so the policeman didn't really die, right?
Yeah.
And he's floating in, I guess, the ocean.
Yeah.
And maybe he is rescued, and then he goes to the hospital, and he remembers everything he uncovered about the game. But he's faced with this moral dilemma of, is he gonna stop this cruel game from continuing, or is he gonna expose his brother, who he looks up to a lot, who entered the game because of a debt incurred by a surgery the policeman had to do, and also just gratitude that the brother donated his organ. But then he decides, no, like, I have to confront my brother at the very least. So then he goes back into the island, back into the game. He confronts his brother, the front man. Either the front man commits suicide because he hates what his life has become and who he's become, or the policeman decides, okay, like, I just have to end this, and shoots his brother in the face. Either way, the front man is killed, and then the policeman puts on the front man's mask, and he starts leading the game, but really he's gonna direct it so that it leads to the game's demise.
Yeah, so basically we're just predicting that there will only be a second season and there won't be a third season. Because, I mean, how much more mystery could there possibly be after that? Maybe if they can go into like the VIPs or something like that, but we're not a big fan of the VIPs.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's already kind of explained that they're just a bunch of bored rich people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening to us. We're the Mangoes, and we had a lot of fun talking to you about our nonfiction books and Squid Game. We hope to see you in the next video. All right, have a nice weekend. Bye.